Let's bring in attorney Tre Lovell. He joins us now to talk some more about this case. Tre, thanks for your time tonight. Are you surprised by the fact that the jurors came to that unanimous decision on all 34 counts?
I am. I thought the evidence was a little more questionable. I thought there had to be, a few more dots to connect that the prosecution had not done. But I think a lot of it was due to the jury instructions. I think the judge gave some jury instructions that really were a problematic, little pro-prosecution. And in many ways, the jurors just kind of got on that road and were led to a certain path. So I was surprised overall. I thought it would have taken, more time because there was some complicated issues here. But ultimately, I think it was a lot of it was kind of the jury instructions, and I'm not, not blaming the jury at all on this.
Okay, were there specific instructions from the judge that you had trouble with or questioned?
Yeah, I mean, there was a requirement that with respect to the second crime that elevated it to a felony, the jury didn't have to agree on which crime that was. So it could have been, a tax evasion crime. It could have been a federal election law crime. It could have been, an illegal campaign contribution. And there did not have to be unanimity on that. And normally, in criminal trials here in the United States, there has to be a unanimous decision on all elements of a crime. And they didn't require that. And even when they read the jury verdict, they didn't include exactly what that second crime was. Which led to a lot of speculation. So I thought that was problematic. He really stressed the fact that you can infer, which you can infer evidence. You don't have to sit there and watch something happen for it to happen. But I think he let it a little bit too loose and kind of unloosened the unreasonable doubt requirements and made it a little bit of a lesser standard. I think this is going to be very fruitful for appeal. I think there are a lot of issues on appeal, but I thought that was problematic.
Okay. Would you have expected, is it unusual to have the jurors explain how they got to the verdict? Is that something the defense, for example, could ask for?
Yes. A lot of it goes into what the jury instruction forms are going to be. And in order to convict her, they had to find that there was a falsification of business records, prong one, in order to conceal or hide a second crime, which is A, B, or C. And they didn't have A, B, or C. It was kind of just, a felony falsification, which led most people to naturally conclude, okay, it must have been election interference or something like that. But it was never really clarified. And I certainly would have asked the judge at that moment, what exactly is this? We need clarification on the second crime, put it into the record. And that way the Court of Appeal can look at it. But I thought that was a little bit unusual. Usually it's very clear that you have to meet every element of the crime. And when the jurors subscribe to the jury instructions form and they fill out what the final verdict is going to be, it's usually inclusive of all of that.
Mm. Let me ask you about sentencing. What do you see here? We have a man who has never before been convicted. That being said, he has now 34 counts, a verdict found today that was unanimous. I'm wondering where you see sentencing going.
So potential sentencing could be up to 4 years per count with a cap of 20 years. I don't think that'll ever happen. You're very right. He doesn't have a history of any crimes. And based on these facts, I would assume there would probably won't be jail time, some type of probation, maybe some other requirements. If there is jail time, it'll be very minimal. And he certainly won't be serving any of it, before the election. I think he'll be out on bail pending appeal. So he won't be incarcerated, even if that is the sentence, before the election.
But do you think that's even a possibility?
It's always a possibility, but I don't think it's going to happen.
Okay.
On these facts, it's a nonviolent crime. It's his first. It's interesting circumstances. I do not think there will be an imposition of jail time or incarceration.
All right, Tre, got to leave it there, but thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.